Hey, thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm Susan Lynn. I'm a spirit navigator. I'm a psychic medium. Today we're going to be talking politics. I'm going to be answering your questions. Thank you so much for sending them in. And I'm going to be channeling this message. Spirit guides are going to be coming in at 60%. Susan is going to be at 40%. And let's jump right in, shall we? This is part 2. If you missed part 1, you might want to go looking for that because we talked about some important details in that video as well. So let's get right in here. Jasmine says, what's the deal with Usha Vance? Is she really okay with all her husband and the rest of the regime are doing, or is she allegedly, and for entertainment purposes only, quietly observing and going to somehow play a part in the great downfall that's coming? Right. You know what? They just showed me something really different. I guess I've never really looked that hard at her. I've kind of wondered myself in my own human mind when I'm not connected to my spirit guides. And I thought, this just doesn't make any sense. Like, this woman is definitely not a white woman. Her kids are definitely not white kids. And theoretically, I think people say that she used to be a Democrat. Okay, so what they showed me was, let me see if I can explain this. Okay. I've talked about this before. When the way they see the world is that I have my power. If from her perspective, she never had power and she wasn't going to get power. Okay. She was never going to be a JD Vance. She was never going to be a white man. So in this way, she has secured her power. And in this way, she secured the power for her kids in a way that she would never, they would never have been able to secure before. Now, does this mean, now, so this is where I think we make the disconnect, or where I made the disconnect, because I'm thinking, well, doesn't she care? I mean, doesn't she care? Is she worried about her kids? Because you and I are saying our kids are never going to be white boys. So wouldn't she be worried about them? Yeah, she's worried about them, and she's giving them the ultimate power. Here's the disconnect. The disconnect is that we thought, or I thought, that she'd be worried about everybody else. Just because she's worried about her doesn't mean she's worried about other people who aren't white. That's the disconnect. She doesn't care about all the other, Eastern Indian or other people who aren't lily white like JD Vance. She doesn't care about anybody else. Period. She's not in this for them. She's in it for her. She's in it for her kids. As long as her and her kids have the power, then she's good. She's grabbed the holy grail of power for her and her kids. That's all that matters to her. Everybody else can go to hell in a handbasket. That's just what I heard. I've never gotten that before, but I've never really asked it before. I guess while I was channeling, like, I talk to myself about this all the time and myself answers like, I don't know, we don't understand. This is what they just told me. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I got. Thank you so much, Jasmine. It's sad, but that's what I get. And it makes sense because, like, Thomas is the same thing, Justice Thomas. He has literally said he'd like to have slaves. These people believe that they will be the holders of power. They don't care about other Black people. They don't care about other brown people. They don't care about anybody else, as long as they have the power. That's what I get from her. She has secured power for her and her kids, and that's all that matters. That's crazy. That's how we got here, right? Is that energy of all for me, none for anybody else. That is the epitome of the energy of how we got here. Okay, Patricia says, hi, Susan. Thank you for your videos. Hi, Patricia. Thank you for watching my videos. The hope and the insight. Okay, you're welcome. Thank you. Hope you're settled in your new home. We're just having a little chat. Let me drink some coffee. Okay, here's your question. Oh, you don't have a question. Hi, Patricia. You were just visiting with me. Hey, girl. Hey, I'm good. Thank you. I hope you're doing well, too. Okay, let me move on. As you can see, I don't pre-read or preload these. I don't create answers. I'm literally just opening YouTube and reading your comments. So that's what happened. Christine says, why are the three Mike the three Mikes, Mike Pence, Mike Meadows, and Pompeo, silent because they're outnumbered, the guides are saying. They don't have the power. You know, if you're in a room, this is what the guides showed me, okay? If you're in a room and the three Mikes are in this room, Mike Pompeo, Mike Meadows, and Mike Pence. And in the room are a bunch of people with ski masks and guns. And you don't have any guns. Are you going to do anything? No. You're going to pretend like you don't exist. That's what they're doing. They don't have the power. And even if they had the power, I don't think they have the cojones. I don't think they have the tennis balls to do anything. These are not people. These are all yes men that were all operating under powerful men. Their best hope is that they're forgotten by justice, by karma, and their previous overlords. Okay, so that's why they're being silent. They never were heroes. They never were anybody who would stand up for the. I take it back. The guides just show me Mike Pence because they show me this all the time. Mike Pence is the hero. If he had gotten in that SUV on that day when they were certifying the thing, if he had gotten in that SUV, we wouldn't have had 4 years of Biden. So he really did stand up when it counted. He is one person who stood up when it counted. But they don't have any power. There's no power. And even if they did have power, I don't see any of them being sufficiently having a spine to do something with their power. Okay. Everkel says, what will be the outcome of SCOTUS appeal for justice, for Ghislaine Maxwell? Will Trump pardon her? This is a developing story, the guides are saying, because I did a reading about her a long time ago, and it was fascinating. Like, it was so fascinating that it's still in my mind. And that means a lot, because when I'm channeling, it's like the energy just comes and goes. In this channeling, they talked about how the reason she's still alive is because she disseminated these videos all around the world. And people have them that don't even know they have them. Okay, so imagine that you're nobody living in Argentina. You're nobody living in even the Vatican. They keep saying the Vatican, so I'm just saying. But you don't know, even though the Vatican is a super powerful thing, and yes, they are in on everything, and yes, Opus Dei, yes. What would you do? You would hide the thing that would take you down right in front of the person. You know what I mean? You would literally hide it in plain sight. That's why I swear these videos are in a vault in the Vatican, and the Vatican doesn't even know about it. I will die on that hill. Anyway, I'm talking about a Sherpa, like a goat herder. I'm talking about people that don't have internet, that don't have running water. They've got a little brown box. And every month, somebody goes and checks on it and looks at it with their own eyeballs, and a series of transactions that happen, and they get, whatever compensation. And maybe they're told it's a religious artifact. Who knows what they're told? It doesn't matter. The point is that Ghislaine has such a robust system of tripwires that if something happens to her, boom, and the right people know that this is true. Okay, so she holds a lot of this energy. Now, the thing that's developing is that, I wrote in social media, this was like spent nuclear fuel, the files, the e-files. It was buried. It has cooling water. It was completely tucked away, but it's safe because it's buried. But guess what? Now the thing that keeps it buried, that keeps it safe, is breaking down, and it's threatening to become a weapon, to become a thing. Now that's one thing that's happening. Ghislaine having these tripwires is another thing that's happening. And the third thing that's happening is the big dummy in the White House decided that it was so safe that he could, like he always projects everything that he's thinking or doing, he always projects it. So he started using it to beat up all the Democrats. And he spent something like 8 years convincing his members that this was this mythical holy grail, that when he got back in office, he was going to show the world. And not only would the world know, but all the cult members now be respected. They would be respected. They would be known as the truth teller. So these people have a lot of energy, their own respectabilities tied in something proving them right. They live every day for something to prove them right. I was right all along. Well, now their leader has said it was never there. We never said that. It was never there. Well, I spent the last 8 years staking my sanity, my respectability on this, and now you're telling me it's not there? That's not gonna fly. So these three things are developing at the same time. Now, also going back to the MAGAs, something the guides have been saying is you can stretch a rubber band. Oh, it's stretchy. You can move it, you can stretch it, you can bring it in and out. Maybe that's what he's doing with his accordion hands, is stretching their consciousness. Subconsciously, he's doing this, right? What happens if you stretch a rubber band too many times? It breaks. You can only stretch their consciousness so many times. You can only say, look, the sky is raspberry colored when you're looking at the sky and it's blue. There's only so many times your brain can make can say, okay, that's true, when your brain knows it's not true. Your cognitive dissonance gives up. And finally, your brain says, none of this is true. I can no longer make all this make sense. My rubber band broke. So all this is happening right now. Okay. So who has the power? They want 47 out. Who has the power? You know, who's going to win this? If they can produce the tapes, then they're going to go down too. You know, they're going to be, they're just as guilty. So they might make a deal with her because she's radioactive and she has the radioactive goods. They might make a deal with her. Yeah, everybody might make a deal with her. The felon might make a deal with her. SCOTUS might make a deal with her because in this whole thing, she's the one with the most power right now. She's the one that could bring them all down. And if she crosses over, then all of it is exposed. And because the MAGAs, you know, put all their sanity, all their respectability, all their everything on this, you lose the MAGAs, you lose everything. You know, so that's kind of why I think that he might pardon her. And I think that's why they may hear the case, because if they can keep her happy and put her on a pedestal, then they won't be exposed. It's fascinating, isn't it? Not really. Okay, I cannot pronounce your name, but you want to know, will the laid off federal workers get to come back to former jobs if or when the 47 administration is gone? I was reading on this a while back, and I'm getting the same thing, which is that these workers will be made whole, which means that if they want their jobs, they will be offered a priority. They will be first in line to get the jobs back. And they will also be financially compensated in some way. Now, the question is when. This could be as far away as 3 months or 6 months away. But the real problem is when I go into this energy is that once you make the decision as a federal worker to go into the private sector, that jump is such a big jump for so many reasons that I don't know that they're going to go back. I just think it's almost a one-way street. I feel like we've lost so much intellectual capital, and that was the point. You know, a lot of this is the point is to gut the government and make the private sector the most valuable part of the situation, to not have our taxes go to the government, but for everything to be privately owned. So they've done a good job in gutting. This is what they wanted to do. This is what they've done. But just because a lot of these workers don't go back to the government, I mean, some do, but I just don't think all of them will. That doesn't mean that we're going to have a gutted government, because what I actually see happening is the government becoming beefier, the government actually becoming more important, or more, the emphasis is more on the government. Now, this isn't going to happen overnight, but I do see this happening as we go year by year into the next 5 years. It's sort of like how I said that NATO would actually be bigger back when Russia invaded Ukraine. I said, NATO is going to grow. It's not going to be smaller. And it has grown. It's added 2 countries, and it's added more money, and it will continue to grow. And this is how I feel about the United States government. It's going to actually get beefed up, like way bigger, way more important, way more responsible to the citizens. So yes, they're going to get money, and they're going to be able to go back to the government jobs if they wish to. Let's move on to Kristen. Says, will the political unrest have to be solved by civic engagement, protest, strikes, boycott, or will the system come back online to stop the shenanigans? A little bit of both. I do see the system coming back online in the sense that the powers that be think they can move the felon over to the side. If you watched my last video, you understand what I'm saying. Install JD. JD is going to make a new, and he's already done it. I read about this. I felt the energy as soon as it happened. He's made a deal with these robber barons to say, okay, let's get rid of him, put me in, and I will work with you, right? Like, we understand each other. I want this, you want that, let's do it. That's the system, if you want to call it that. It's not justice, but it is a system, and they will try to quell, is the word I'm getting, the fears and the energy. So when JD gets in, one of the things I see happening is that he goes to everybody and says, look, I respect the president, whatever, BS. But he went too far. I'm going to pull back a lot of these things, right? Like, I'm going to bring us back to normal. Okay, so this could be the sigh of relief that I hear people taking in the fall, but the problem is that he only brings it 50% back. He doesn't bring it all the way back to Biden. He doesn't bring it back to normal. And the robber barons think that we're going to fall for this, and that we're going to be like, oh, okay, everything is fine now, but we're not. Enough of us are not going to fall for this. Some will, but enough of us won't, because the harm that's been done to our communities, to our non-white communities, the fresh harm is too much to sweep under the rug. They're not going to allow it to be swept under the rug. It's all too new. We're not ready to just make nice. We've been lied to. We've been coerced. Our trust has been broken. We're not in the mood to just go back and buy things and pretend like everything is great. For one thing, I don't feel like the economy is going to be great. I don't feel like we're experiencing no Biden economy. A JD economy is still broke down, flat tire, side of the road, not operating. We do not believe him. We do not trust him. Therefore, the thing that they think is going to work isn't going to work. And what is going to work is us being in the streets, protesting with our dollars, our wallets, communicating with each other, supporting each other, because that's very much a part of how we get through this. So hopefully that makes sense. They think they can do the shell game and switch up the leaders and pretend like that was fixed the problem. It doesn't. We need to stay engaged throughout the entire process of the transformation of our country, of our culture, of our community, of all of the things that are happening. This is an ending year. 2025 is endings. We're ending it. We're saying we really don't want to be the people who were the MAGAs. We don't want to be those people. Yes, that subset's going to be there. May they be small, may they be a minority, but the majority of us, we're actually really cool with each other. And we're not going to allow that to be who we are anymore. Hopefully that makes sense. Thank you for your question. Andrea says, will the Epstein dilemma be the fall of Trump? I read about this in my last video. Absolutely, it will be the downfall. I mean, there's more than just that. I can't say this, that's my dog. I can't say this too many times, right? But the dilemma, the files, the list, whatever, the manifest. They want to talk about manifest. Isn't a manifest like a plane? Anyway, like, the manifest is the list of people who are on a plane or a mode of transportation. Is going to be the downfall of a lot of people, SCOTUS, Supreme Court, Democrats, Republicans, everybody. You can be guilty by association. There will be people who really aren't guilty, but who didn't stand up enough. They will go down too. It's sort of like, sorry, that person had to go down, but they didn't stand up. This is the energy of black and white. You're either on the good side or the bad side. There's no gray. If you think you're going to ride through this, there were good people on both sides, you're going to be on the bad side. So yes, it's going to be the downfall of everything. They are going to try to make a deal with her. That's what they're trying to do, right? They're trying to make a deal and say, hey, don't release anything and we'll pardon you. Don't release anything and we'll help you. And that's fine, but the cat's already out of the bag. The actual victims themselves are coming forward. Now, they did come forward in 2016 and the energy was not supportive and everybody crushed them. Seriously. But now the energy is, we believe the victim. We want to hear what you have to say. We honor your experience. Very different energy right now. Now they're going to come forward and they're going to be believed and they're going to be healed and they're going to heal us. And this is part of the process because the energy has changed astrologically, energetically, all of the above. The energy has changed. Karen says, what is the health status of the detainees in El Salvador? Are they dying? Will the government of their respective detainees lobby their release? Because we know that some of these people are there, but they're really from Canada or some other country. Okay, first of all, the health status of the detainees is, they're not trying. This is going to be very controversial, but it is what it is. This is what I'm getting. Maybe I'm wrong. They're not trying to kill them. It is the energy of a work camp. So if you're not viable, if you're not hardy and hale enough to work, then yeah, they don't care. They're not going to keep anybody alive. Let me put it to you that way. If somebody gets sick, they're out. If they get injured, they're out. If you're hale and hardy, then we will give you just enough sustenance to make you work. I do believe that this is trafficking. I do believe that this is a version of slavery and that these people are being sold or rented out for working or all kinds of things. So that's the health status, I think. And then some of them are dying, of course. Will the government, and I'm channeling, I don't mean to sound blasé, but this is an emotional channeling. Will the government of their respective detainees lobby their release? I feel like in the next couple of months, you're going to see more pressure put on El Salvador through sanctions, through diplomacy, through just pressure on all sides. Maybe not from the United States, but from other countries. There are other countries, and I don't know if this is Britain or the EU, but there are other countries who trade with El Salvador who maybe don't have people in these prisons, but could put pressure on them through their trade pacts. So you're going to see third parties joining the injured party to form coalitions to put pressure on them. And in the end result, it's not just El Salvador, it's us with our own, camps as well in the United States, right? So it's really about the energy of camps, of all this energy of exploitation of workers, of modern slavery. All these themes are coming up for us to see, just literally stark in our eyes, like without any kind of nicety covering up or whatever. It's like literally laid bare for us to see. We must witness it. We must accept it. We must acknowledge it. And then we must decide that it's not acceptable. And that's what we're going through right now. Good Karma says, will the felon fly away or attempt to flee to another country when he perceives there's no way out of the messes he's made? It's likely he would do almost anything to avoid being put in prison. Well, sure. Yeah, of course. Most people are like that. I read about this in my last video, part 1 of this video, and I said that they're going to lock him away in the funny farm room where they're just going to heavily medicate him, or he's going to cross over to the great McDonald's in the sky. I did mention that, yes, he could try to run. There is that energy. It's always been there. This is a man that not has one plan. He's got 20 plans. He's not really stupid. He's strategic. He's smart in his own way. Maybe he's not book smart, but he's smart when it comes to manipulating people. And look, he made it all the way to the presidency. Okay, this is a guy who's strategic. So he has backup plans to his backup plans, and one of his backup plans is to flee. But if he does that, either the flying vehicle that's transported through the air can fall out of the air, or he could be returned, which would be a disgrace. Now, why is this possible? See, I think we don't understand all the moving parts here. What keeps him viable and in power are his cult. Without the cult, he's got nothing. He's nobody. They provide a shield around him. Well, his cult is disappearing because of all the things that I talked about in the last video. They just cannot handle their whipsaw of their consciousness. They can't. A human cannot. And so they're starting to come to this realization, hey, this guy is not for us. They're starting to crack. They're starting to peel away from him. Once he doesn't have that protection, he's vulnerable and he's going to be out one way or another. That's it in a nutshell. Okay, let's move on. Thank you for your question. Crystal says, just listened to Lawless Astrology, love Lawless Astrology, and heard when Pluto is out of bounds to the South Node, empires fall. Bingo. I'm telling you, all of this is astrology. I read the energy. I don't understand astrology, but when I talk to astrologers, it dovetails because the energy is the energy. And you said, who goes first? Donald, Putin, Netanyahu. I feel Donald, but I might be wishful thinking. I know, right? Who goes first? It's such a good question. Right now, I'm leaning towards Putin. It's a toss-up between Putin and Donald. I read in my first video, I think Netanyahu is going to be defanged. He's going to be powerless, but I think he still stays on this side of the earth. for a while longer. I also have always said that they're connected. So once one goes in a certain amount of time, the next one, a certain amount of time, the next one. I'm not saying in one day or in 1 month, but they do topple each other. They do, there's a thread attaching all three of them. And when one goes over the cliff, the other one gets drug along too. So that's what I'm getting. I don't know why, but right now I'm feeling a lot of energy around Putin. This can change because people have free will. He could get extra bodyguards, he could be reading the energy and going, oh, I need to protect myself. So it's not set in stone. Okay. But right now it feels like Putin, then Donald, then Netanyahu. Thank you for your question. Zena says, will schools get their federal funding that Trump froze by this September? Also, can schools survive without federal funding? Ooh, this is going to create a whole big problem. I just saw when you asked that question, they just showed me a whole video in my head that is too much for me to communicate right now. He plays favorites. So yes, he's going to cherry pick some districts or schools or states. If you do me a favor, I will give you money. That's how Texas is being asked to gerrymander the districts. And then Trump said, I'll give you money for your FEMA. I mean, that's what he does, right? So of course, blue states are not going to get any money. California, any blue state is going to be SOL. Some red states will be SOL too, just because he's fickle. You know what I mean? He's going to give you the gifts to whoever he wants to give. And your next question is, can schools survive without federal funding? This is what they just showed me. This is also another attempt to privatize schools. I've been preaching this for years. They want to privatize everything because they want the profit. Okay, so this is another attempt. If you're a middle class person and your school is down to 3 days a week because they don't have any teachers or they can't keep the lights on, then you're going to pull your kid out and you're going to find a way. You're going to homeschool them or you're going to send them to the private school. Okay, so you're going to find a way. The real crisis is people who can't afford that, who don't have that option. Now you have kids. Well, okay, the bottom line is that some states will be able to cobble together some kind of funding to keep the kids in school for the most part. But this is going to change our public education. And frankly, I am going to say something unpopular, but ever since the pandemic, it probably needs to be changed. Maybe we need to go to a different type of learning. Maybe kids that are growing up on a computer need a different type of learning. Maybe the fact that more and more kids are on the spectrum, we do need to change some things. I'm not saying everything, but I'm just saying some changes will be good. But overall, I feel like the other thing this is going to do is those Republicans, there are a lot of them that let's just take football, for instance, right? Let's take high school football, huge, big money. In the South, if you're not familiar, our high school stadiums are bigger than some of the college stadiums, okay? So this is a lot of money. And it's also just a freaking socio pastime. It's a thing. Friday Night Lights, people go to the games. So if you don't have a high school, you don't have football. And if you don't have football, then what do you got? Nothing. So this is going to put more pressure on state governments to either A, utilize their tax dollars better, B, to fight the government, C, to put pressure on Republicans, because this is all a maelstrom. This isn't just one, they think they have all the power. But again, we're going to go back to the power to the people. Now you've got all these men out there that are interested in basketball, football. Don't forget all the band moms and the, drill team moms. And these things are a rite of passage. in high school. And you can't just take those away without a fight. And you've now made enemies of a lot of people who might have been apolitical. Now they're political, and now they want to be a Democrat. And so you're creating enemies that you didn't even have out of whole cloth right now by attacking these schools. So is it going to happen overnight? No, because these people don't believe it. These people that watch football all the time, that watch sports all the time, they're not watching politics. They don't care. So what? They saw Trump jump in front of the soccer team and grab the trophy. You know what I mean? That's the only thing they know about politics. But now you're messing with their life. Now you got their attention. So these are all the different, I just feel like they're pelted with all of this information, and they're going to wake up and they're going to be big mad. And they're going to look around and they're going to realize that the people in office are Republican in your state. And the people that are in office are Republican in your government. And they're going to point their anger that direction. And that's again, how we get to the next level of understanding of, oh, government is good, community is good, we're all in this together. This is all a process of laying us bare to the realities, whether you care about immigrants or you care about football or you care about vaccines or you care about the environment. It's all under attack. And everybody's special interest is now being, mashed on, activated. And everybody is going to be awake and mad, right? Whew. So in the process, it's going to be ugly. This is not everybody wakes up and everybody says, we're going to fix it. It's everybody wakes up and starts fighting each other. They don't know who to fight. They don't know what to do. They don't know how this happened. They have to come to grips to all the things you and I have already come to grips to. All the things you and I have been warning people about, that we've been seeing. They're just now waking up to it. And they have to go through their own process of understanding. It's not going to be instant. This is wrong. You're the problem. I'm going for you. It's a process. So we need to give them room. I tell you guys, I would get out of their way. They don't want to hear that they were wrong. They don't want to hear that you told them so. They don't want to hear it. If you're going to put yourself in front of a crazy person and tell them to their face, I told you so, you're going to get it. Why do you want to get it? Let them have all their anger at the person that deserves it. Get out of their way. Don't say nothing to them. Don't even make eye contact. Let them find the person who's really responsible. It ain't you. Okay? Whew, let's move on. Cecilia says, will Haley Schaffner be successful in unseating Tom Cotton from Arkansas Senate seat? I don't even know who this is, but I hear yes. And not for the reasons you think. I don't know what that means. I mean, I think he's his own undoing. He is his own undoing. It's like he makes a fatal error. And it makes it easy for her to overcome him. Now, there are, when I say that, I just saw people are coming to his aid. Like he's important apparently, and he's important to money. He's important to a group that has power. So he makes this, what do they call that in baseball? An unsomething error. It's like when you make an error when you shouldn't have. Like you just shot yourself in the foot, basically. He does this and he's floundering because he's really just a figurehead. Like he doesn't really know what he's talking about. He's just spouting whatever he says he's supposed to be spouting. So that makes it worse. He looks like a shill. And then these people come in and attack her. So I think he does not win, but at the last minute, there's a lot of energy that comes in to try to save him. They're telling me she wins. We'll see. But it almost looks like she's got it in the bag, and then something happens. They mount a resistance. They mount a fight at the last minute. They never, they don't believe that she could be a real threat. There's a lot of overconfidence here. Once they realize she's a real threat, they're like, oh, we got to get busy. Whew. Okay, thank you for your question. Let me do one or two more. Empathic veteran says, will Trump, I hate when I do that. Will the felon pass away before there's an attempt to impeach him? I feel like he's out of the scene, and there is not an attempt, not a real, let me put it this way. The process of impeaching is not successful because it has to be in the House and the Senate. The House does their side, the Senate does their thing. You have to have both to remove him. Okay. I don't think it's successful. I think he's either out by the 25th Amendment, which is what I read about in my last video, where he's in the room, in the rubber room that locked him up, or he's crossed over. And yes, I do think that's by Christmas. One more question, maybe. Visionary Shift says, will marriage equality for same-sex couples remain intact, or will the Supreme Court reverse that decision? Oh, Jesus. I feel like they're going to reverse the decision. But I feel like it's going to go back to the way it was, which was you could get married in Vermont and you couldn't get married in Texas. That's what I'm feeling. I could be wrong, but that's what I think is going to happen. Also, they're talking about interracial marriage. They might be going against that too. And again, I know you guys are screaming at the screen going, what about Thomas? What about these people? What about Thiel, who's married? Peter Thiel is married to his man, right? I mean, these people are not part of us. They're the overlords. They don't have rules. The rules don't apply to them. So when you start screaming, you're not understanding the basic tenet of their thinking, which is rules for thee, not for me. Okay. So it's another legal quagmire, the guides are saying, where now the courts are like, we don't even know what to do now. Some states run with this and start making it, changing the laws to make it not supportive of the marriage. Some states go to the right, some states go to the left, which is what the Supreme Court says they want. They want states' rights. They want the states to make the decisions. That's what the felon says. I want states to make the decisions. That's been a tenet of the Republican Party, states' rights forever, except for, we know, when they want the federal government to have all the rights. It's like they just making rules willy-nilly doesn't make any sense. I don't know what that means for people who are married. It means complication is what it means. Like if you have kids together, if you have property together, if somebody's in the hospital, if somebody dies, if again, a legal quagmire. How are the courts going to set? This is legal. Marriage is legality. That's really why we do it, right? Is to have these legal frameworks. So now there's legal problems all the way up and down the board, not only in the states, but in the federal courts. It's destabilizing. It's destabilizing people's lives, but it's destabilizing our democracy, which is the whole point, in my opinion. I don't know what to say other than I predicted that Roe v. Wade would be removed. And when I predicted that, it happened. And then I predicted it will come back. So I would say the same thing about this. These rights are going to come back, and they're going to come back with even more support and even more acknowledgement. But we have to process that we've lost them. Then we have to process what it means to us. And then we have to process what we're going to do about it. And then we go through to get it done. all of this is a process. It's not going to be that we all say we go from 1 to 100. We have to go through all the processes like we're doing now. Oh, wow, I didn't realize that I really love my immigrant community and I really value whatever they bring to me. And I really want to have that in my community and I want them to feel safe. Oh, I really value public schools and I want them to be funded. Oh, I really value clean water. Or we have to wake up to the things that we took for granted and just trusted, and now realize we don't have those things and we can't trust that we can have them, that we have to fight for them. Do we have to name them, claim them, and then fight for them? That's a process. This is where we are. So we are going to fight for all of these things. We are doing it now. And we're going to do it together. So the LGBTQ community is in the streets along with other minorities, other, groups. We're all under attack. It's not just one group, one person. We're all under attack. And even if I'm not under attack, I'm going to be out there in the streets supporting you because I'm an ally. That's the lesson. This is all about the lessons. This is all about, oh, I really want a world. I want a state, a community, a country that has these values. And the thing that they've done a good job of is convincing us that there's too many of us that don't want these values, which is not true. It's a very, very small minority of people who don't want the values. They don't have the support of the country. Period. End of story. They've stolen it because they don't have support of it. And then they've convinced us that we're all bad people. We're all monsters. We're not. We're not. And we're waking up to that. We're like, oh, wait, the majority of us are human. The majority of us want to support each other. Once we wake up to that and we wake up to our power, we'll go through the process very quickly and we'll reclaim everything we've lost and actually get more of what we want because we'll know what that is. Okay. I'm Susan Lynn. I'm a spirit navigator. I'm a psychic medium. If you're new here, thank you so much for joining me. Please hit the subscribe button, maybe even hit the notification bell so you know when I have a video out. If you'd like to know more about me, you can find it on SusanLynnMedium.com. I have classes. I have an in-person event coming up in Santa Fe, New Mexico, where you can join us and literally grow your soul. Seriously, there's no better thing to do right now than to grow your soul, whether that's with me, on your own. I have videos here that teach you how to do that. Regardless of where you are financially, I've got something to help you. I've got a free community. I've got a paid community. I've got an in-person event. I've got plenty of videos that you can, so you can plug in and get this information at your level, where you are now. It's right here for you, okay? Take really good care of yourself. We're going to get through this together. Actually, I think we're going to get through this together pretty quickly in the next couple of months. So just hang in there. Understand that you have every reason to be upset. You have every reason to be angry. You have every reason to be scared. You have every reason to feel the way you feel. Take really good care of yourself and try to have hope for the future, because there is hope for the future. We are not the monsters. We are not those people. Okay, I'll see you again soon. For entertainment purposes only,